How y'all doing today? How y'all doing today? Today I come to you guys with another story. Thanks for everybody who's been supporting me and pushing me to drop more stories and tell more stories. I'm glad that people are actually liking my stories and what I'm saying. But today's story is when I was a kid, and today's story is about the one and only, the infamous family, the Rockefellers, man, the Rockefellers. Much love to the Rockefeller family, their household name. Much love to them. So here's the story about the Rockefellers. So if y'all hear me, I talk a lot about my grandmother. Her name was Cicely Duncan. She was a home care. She took care of people in house. And as a kid, my grandmother basically raised me in Park Ritchie, in Tacoma Park, after my mom moved away, like, or whatever. My mom would leave here and there, leave the country. And my grandmother would take care of me. So my grandmother sometimes, just like if sometimes your mom would have to take you to work. There ain't no babysitters, so we talking about the 80s is the time frame we talking about here in the 1980s and late 70s. I'm sorry, late 70s to the 80s. So it wasn't a lot of people that can watch your kids, or so my grandmother would have to take me to work with her sometimes. And I'll never forget the first time meeting the Rockefellers. Like, my grandmother passed away, so there's so much information I can get on this and ask her. Um, but I think it was like the grandmother. It was the grandmother and the grandfather of it was the mother of one of them, of one of the Rockefellers, right? So my grandmother would take me down there, and I remember as a kid, it was down in, I want to say, Georgetown in Washington, D.C. And I remember, like, so coming from Park Ritchie, that it's a building complex. It's a tall building. It's nothing but buildings around here. So you ain't seeing like those kind of structures of a house. But down in Georgetown, it's kind of like row houses. So I remember just going in there. My grandmother, I remember this vividly, man. I go in and my grandmother be like, "You better sit here and don't move and don't touch nothing." And I remember walking in there, y'all, and it was just like the floors was wood. It was like walking into a castle, man. I was like, "What is this?" And I just remember my grandmother had on the little outfit on, all white, and I sat there, and people was like introduced, like saying hi to me while she wasn't there. Like when she was working, I was sitting in this chair. I remember this chair was a big white chair. It was like everything in there was like white. I was sitting in this chair, and I just remember like older white people just coming up to me and just like touching my hand or touching on top of my head, and was like, "Oh," like saying a few words to me. I'm a kid, so I really don't understand what they were saying to me, but I just remember that those gestures, right? Because I brought this up to my mom the other day. My mom was like, "You remember that?" And that's what made me tell the story that I'm telling today. So I remember, like, my grandma was gone for a long time. I'm a kid, and right next to me, because she didn't want me, like, she didn't actually sit me inside the house. I was kind of like closer to the door, kind of, because she already knew, like, back in those times and the family she was dealing with, they probably didn't even want no kids there, like, not knowing she could probably have lost her job or something for even bringing me there. But they loved my grandmother so much, like, they probably just bypassed that. Then to come to realize, like, who I am now, it was like I was a chosen one, kind of. So I remember somebody came down and the door opened up, and I was like, "What is that?" So, y'all, they had an elevator inside the little row houses. So I'm telling myself, like, so in Park Ritchie, I know we got elevators, but this is an elevator inside of a house. I never seen nothing like that before. So, I'm a kid, so what you think I did? So the elevator had like the little gate you pull, the little black gate you pull. I get on the elevator and I pull it, and I just got on there because I was so amused by the elevator. And I pulled it, and the elevator started to move, y'all. The elevator started to move. It went up to the top to like the bedroom floor, y'all. When I got off, so this when I was a kid, man. When I got off, find me, and not knowing like this row house is like 4 levels. They really big in there, man. So they was trying to find me, not knowing where I went. And then when I got off, he walked me down. I remember he was holding my hand, and we didn't even take the elevator back down. He like walked me down. My grandmother was so mad at me, and I just remember him saying like, "Don't be mad at him. He's a great kid. Don't be." Right. And that was the last time my grandmother took me back there, man. I be on that ride home. Man, my grandmother was so mad at me. She thought she was gonna lose her job and some more stuff. But even during this time, man, like my mother, like other things I didn't even know. I talked to my mother about this the other day. Like the Rockefellers, even my little brother, his name is Alex. They even bought him a crib. They bought him clothes. And she told me some more stuff. So it's like the Rockefellers was helping my family out even before I even knew, right? So as I got older, my grandmother was still working with them, and one of them moved in. They no longer alive anymore, man. So the Rockefellers I'm talking about, they ended up moving to like Bethesda, and my grandmother was so close. Like out of all that whole situation, as years went on, they ended up just keeping my grandmother as the house sitting because they liked her so much. They was living in Bethesda, and I'm older now. I'm in high school. I was like in the 11th grade. So I was going also over there, like they was having me do little things around the house, like do the grass, or it's like I was raised coming up in there, like I was part of their family, like doing the grass. And man, they were so nice to me, right? But my grandmother never told me like the story. And these are the Rockefellers. These the Rockefellers. You know, she didn't tell me the history behind it. It's like she didn't want me to know. But even during that time in high school, I really still didn't know who I was around. And then they would also bring up the story about the time of me being in the house. And yeah, man. And then man, it was then the old man was left. I think the wife passed, and then the old man was left. And I'll never forget, he was in the room, and he called me in the room. He was like, come on. This time my grandmother barely, she was old as well. She barely was driving. He was like, you see that car out there? He said, he said, you see those keys? Man, hey, y'all, the Rockefeller, man, much love to him. He was the only one that ever gave me a car in my life, man, the Rockefeller. He gave me, it was a Chevy Malibu. A Chevy Malibu, man. If any of the Rockefellers hear the story, it was a Chevy Malibu, man, and that was my favorite car. He was like, you make sure you go to school, and you make sure cause my grandma was catching the bus. He's like, make sure you pick her up, and you make sure you take her home. And I was like, yeah. And I just remembered, man, and they gave me a car, y'all. He gave that. I'm gonna ask if I can find out the name. I'm gonna do more research on it and try to see which one of the Rockefellers. But it was like the grandparents or the mother, the grandparents. It was like the top one of them, right? It was like the head of them, man. And they really liked me, man. They really did. But by me telling the story on this, it's like now that I'm older and my age, like all these stories I'm gonna tell you guys is like it shows how like I was always tied in somehow in the political world, right? Because like I say, the political world kind of found me. It ain't something I wanted to do. It ain't something that I went to school for. I ain't say I want to be a freedom fighter or you know, I never said none. I didn't. It's like it chose me, right? So even at this point in time of me talking about the political part of it, and people be telling me like, Eric, you know so much. You need to speak up. You need to talk. But as you can see, what happens when you do speak up and when you do talk, because at this point I do know a lot about everything in life. I do. But it comes to show that I kind of feel like I was chosen to, right? But I've been blackballed. That's all I can say. I have been blackballed. in the political world. But my God is more powerful than anything, and that's all I was lacking, was finding the Lord and finding that word. So now here, moving forward, I can start telling these stories. I can start speaking up on what's going on in the world. I can start saying things because I'm in tune with myself, and I know my Heavenly Father is going to protect me in anything I choose to do. So, and we need more leaders. Like, the nation is going down. We need more leaders like me. So I can't just sit back and 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 don't be on the forefront of what's going on. As y'all see what happened the other day on the news, and somebody was telling me, they was like, Eric, I see why you stay in the background. You can't, of being scared. And I was like, at this point, I can't be scared. I said, if you think Dr. King had any fear in him, you think Malcolm X had any fear in him, you think Kirk had any fear in him, these people, that you can't have no fear when you trying to make a movement, when you're trying to prove a point, when you're trying to change something. It's when you're trying to change something and people actually listen to you and follow you. Like right now on my stories, I only get 10 likes or 10 views. But if I start getting up in the thousands and the millions, because you got to realize what I speak about and what I talk about on my YouTube channel, there's nobody else out there that's talking about that. Like, I can speak on things that people make videos about, right, off of conspiracy. I can speak off of something that I really know. But that's when you start hitting the red part of it. And but we're going to get there, though, y'all. But this is just my story on the Rockefellers, on the Rockefeller family. Man, I don't, they probably don't even know, the ones that still alive probably don't even know that part of the story of my grandmother, when they did a lot for my family. And I just want to say thank y'all. Hopefully one day I can meet one of them again and tell them some more of the stories, or maybe even one of them know the story. Maybe one of the daughters or the sons. I don't know who's left in the family. Maybe one of them know, oh, I remember your grandmother. She used to change my diapers or give me milk. Oh, I remember you when you came to the house that day. We played together or something. It could be anything like that. So, but thank you guys for listening, man. Just spread the word, and yeah, we going up next, man. Y'all have a blessed one. Put God first, and we gonna put it on the Rockefeller second. Gone.